Hi everyone, this is Levi. In this quick video, I want to talk about the upcoming new moon in the sign of Capricorn. And this will happen on January 17th, 2018, early in the morning, Central European time that is. The sun and the moon, the king and the queen, the two luminaries, the two brightest planets, the two Sattvic planets, and Sattvic planets deal with our true nature, are joining together in the sign of Capricorn to forge new things and to create bigger states of awareness. See, the signs represent the unconscious aspects of the chart. That's why they represent body parts. And the planets represent the conscious forces of the chart. So it's the planets that give consciousness to the sign. So Capricorn is highlighted here because there's a new moon happening. And in a previous video that I made for this channel, more specifically Saturn's transit through Capricorn, I extensively talked about Capricorn being under great manifesting influence for the whole year of 2018. Mainly because it's Lord Saturn and Jupiter from Scorpio are both influencing Capricorn for the whole year. Now, this is applying Gemini's second source of strength, right? So anytime a planet conjuncts or Rosh aspects its own sign, it becomes manifesting to that sign. And anytime Mercury and or Jupiter Rashi aspect or conjunct any sign, they give it manifesting strength as well. Now, Mercury has been transiting Capricorn since January 12th. And so during the time of the new moon, there will be 3 manifesting planets onto the sign of Capricorn. So Capricorn is under great manifesting influence. Things will come to fruition there. And there's new things being created because of the new moon, right? In that sense, there's a highlight. Capricorn is highlighted. Now, Capricorn is going to be a house in your horoscope. I will be going over what it means for all ascendant signs. Also importantly, look at the house cusps that fall in Capricorn, which are indicated by the Roman numericals and which you can find at Lala's birth chart calculator, which is free, all right? Because they represent the focal point, the concrete aspect of the house. I'll illustrate this with an example. This is a Scorpio ascendant. The 3rd house is Capricorn. Now let's imagine the 2nd cusp falls in Capricorn here. Then you would also look at the explanation for the 2nd house as well, okay? Now, I will also briefly touch here in the introduction on the aspect between Jupiter and Pluto, which is a sextile. It's a harmonious aspect, but it will require some action. So any imbalances that come up, because it is Pluto that it gets involved, when you apply common sense and prompt action, things will resolve nicely, okay? And then there's also an inconjunct between Mars and Uranus, which is a conversation of tension, okay? This is a 150-degree aspect, so they're 6 to 8 positioned from each other. Okay, so it's a conversation of tension. Now, first, the sextile between Jupiter and Pluto. Pluto relates to Shiva, right? The ego destroyer. It's also numerologically related to Mars, right? Mars rules our energetic system, and we know that Pluto represents or relates to our primal instinctive natures, right? Some deep-rooted fears and compulsions are all associated with Pluto. There could also be control issues and this kind of thing, because it wants to destroy our ego, our sense of holding on to things, right? Sometimes we hold on too long to certain patterns and tendencies, and when Pluto comes around, it shatters it, it destroys it, okay? And whenever something gets destroyed by Pluto, then Uranus is there to bring in the light of the soul, the new, right? So because the outer planets work as a trinity, right? They are the trans-personal planets, right? We can't see them with our naked eyes. So they work behind the scenes in that sense. It's the personal planets that create the concrete events in our life, okay? So, but when Pluto gets around, then you can expect ego loss, right? A little part of the ego may be smashed. Now, again, it's a conversation of, it's a quite harmonious conversation, right? The sextile. Okay, then Jupiter is a significator of children, the husband for a heterosexual woman and a homosexual man. It rules your wealth, teachers, gurus, and also the grandparents. Now, so there could be some imbalances coming up. There's some struggle, but again, when you apply some action, prompt action, and you use common sense, things should resolve nicely. And there's also an inconjunct between Mars and Uranus. Mars again rules the energetic body, and Uranus is a freeing aspect. Okay, so it can be erratic and explosive, but it should free us from any worn out patterns. So it's a 6-8 relationship, so it's a conversation of tension. Now, to illustrate this, have a quick example. So I have a friend, she has an ascendant Virgo, and her mother underwent surgery yesterday, okay? Now, the mother relates to the fourth house. The fourth lord, Jupiter, goes to the third house, and the third house, according to Parashara, deals with deprivation of parents. This is one of the indications. So there could be some trouble to one of the parents, in this case, the mother. Right, and we can also see that it's conjuncting, it's close to Mars, right? Mars is a natural indicator of surgery, and it's also the 8th lord for a Virgo ascendant, which also relates to surgery. So it was a life-threatening situation, but everything went well. And we see that Uranus, even though it's a conversation 6-8, right? The 6 relates to struggle and enemies and wounds and cuts, and the 8 sudden ups and downs, transformation and surgery. We can see that it playing out, right? So it's a very general thing to say here, but just to illustrate this. But Uranus freed this woman from tumor, and healing is underway, okay? So, and it's a freeing aspect. And we also see that the fourth lord, you know, is connecting to Pluto there, so letting go of some fears, fear for death and this kind of thing, okay? By the way, also Mars is a significator of the mother in Gemini, okay? So having said that, I will go over what the new moon in Capricorn holds for all ascendant signs. What does the new moon bring for Aries ascendant? For Aries ascendant, it's happening in their 10th house. What is the 10th house? It's the karma bhava. Karma means action, bhava means house. So it's the house where we perform our great deeds. It relates to our career, right? Parashara gives empire, which relates to businesses and corporations. Also obligations, okay? So what we need to do to fulfill our obligations on a material level, right? The 10th house is an Artha house, which relates to creating material security. And Capricorn is all about that, right? Because it's the original 10th sign of the zodiac. Also, the respect you get, status is seen from the 10th house. So you can expect things to fructify there. Things will manifest there, and also you can expect new beginnings. The 10th relates to the actions of the father. Can also indicate absence from home, right? Because it's the 7th from the 4th. The 4th is the home, the 7th is long distance. So the 7th from the 4th is the 10th house. Okay, so you can expect career change or manifesting, right? Especially manifestation. So Saturn always shows where we need to put in more work and more responsibility. Okay, so these things will come to fruition for Aries ascendant, okay? All right, let's move on to Taurus ascendant. For Taurus ascendant, the new moon is happening in their 9th house. What is the 9th house? The 9th house is the house of fortune and good luck. It's a Dharma house. Dharma means nature. So it's all about following our natural inspirations. It's the strongest of the Dharma houses. So pilgrimages, like travel that inspires you, are seen from the 9th house. In fact, everything that is that you believe in that is greater than yourself is seen from the 9th house. If you believe in God or anything, is seen from the 9th house. In that sense, marriage relates to the 9th, which is also something that is greater than yourself, right? Okay, the 5th from the 5th is the 9th. So the 5th relates to children. So it could also relate to children, especially in women's horoscope. And the 9th house is important in respect to children. Maybe you get married, maybe you get a child, depending on what is happening in your personal horoscope, of course, okay? Pilgrimages, teachers, gurus, learning new things, like something spiritual. The 9th has a spiritual connotation. Maybe you go visit a teacher, maybe there's a new teacher coming in. Saturn always indicates where we need to put in more work and more responsibility. But on this, on concrete level, on a material level, you will find things coming to fruition there, okay? For Taurus ascendant, the 9th house is related, is ruled by Saturn, right? Which is a malefic. So it's not always easy for Taurus Taurus ascendant to follow these inspirations, because Saturn is that malefic, right? But it's strong now, and you can expect things to progress there, learning new things, something that really inspires you, okay, that can bring you further on the path. Okay, I think that's enough for Taurus ascendant. For Gemini ascendant, the new moon in Capricorn happens in their 8th house, right? So on a concrete and a material level, you can expect money that comes in from other people, right? Inheritances, tax refunds and this kind of thing. It's the 8th houses, on that level relates to finances that come in from other people. So the 8th is also the house of the occult, right? becoming psychologically healthy and strong. It's the house where we work our ego, new beginnings in respect to that, right? The new moon is happening there. It's all about intimacy, right? It's the second from the seventh. The seventh relates to sex. The second is the gain, right? From that sex, it relates to intimacy. It's the house of life force, right? Vitality. It can relate to surgery as well. Okay, so if something like that is going on, then you can expect there's good protection and manifesting influence there to bring up whatever can help you further on the path, right? Brush also gives cheats, like getting cheated. In that sense, you know, it's a very unpredictable, it's a very interesting house, but it's a very unpredictable. Sudden ups and downs, changes, right? But a lot of manifesting potential there. Okay, so I think that's enough for Gemini ascendant. Now for Cancer ascendant. For Cancer ascendant, the new moon is happening in their seventh house. What is the seventh house? The seventh relates to all one-on-one relationships. So it relates to the spouse, but also all sorts of relationships, like business relationships. You can expect more clients to come in. The seventh relates to long distance travel. Maybe you need to go on a long trip, this kind of thing. The seventh house, though, I think if you're into business, you can expect more clients to come in, especially because now these 30 manifesting influences are onto a Capricorn, and there's a new moon happening. Also, you know, you can find a new partner for sure, okay, depending on what's happening in your personal horoscope, of course, but generally speaking, a lot of opportunity for relationships, okay, for Cancer ascendant. Okay, then for Leo ascendant, it's happening in their sixth house. The sixth house is an Artha house. Artha relates to creating material security. The sixth house in Gemini is the house of intelligence. So becoming smarter. In the sixth, we become smarter because the sixth is the house of enemies, right? So injuries, cuts, wounds, debts that you know, dues that we need to pay. It also relates to your daily activity and routine, right? Health regime, Saturn there as a malefic, right? Because the six can be a difficult house. We need good malefics there and good dignity, and Saturn is transiting its own sign there, manifesting it. So maybe you find a new health regime, maybe you find a new job, right? Your daily routine, things can come up. Can be it's a beneficial influence. Also, if you have some debts to pay, there's a good time to repay some of these and this kind of thing. Okay, so creating material security, Artha, paying your dues, all seen, and you know, tackling the problems of the world, like your enemies, right? All enemies, the things that you rather avoid, or the things that you don't want to really deal with. You know, there's good strength there, good opportunity to improve that house, that situation, that area in your life. Okay, then for Virgo ascendant, it's happening in their fifth house. New moon in Capricorn is happening in their fifth house. What is the fifth house? The fifth house is a Dharma house. Okay, it's Dharma means nature. It's following your inspirations. The fifth is the house of knowledge and your creative intelligence. Okay, learning new things, right? Learning something that inspires you. The fifth relates to children, right? Maybe the birth of a child. Also, the fifth relates to consistency and continuance. Okay, consistency and continuance on the path. But you can expect things coming to fruition in respect to your creativity and your creative expression, maybe a new creative project, something like that. Okay, that's enough for Virgo ascendant. For Libra ascendant, is happening in their fourth house. The fourth relates to the home. Okay, the fourth is the mother, relates to the mother, vehicles, the land, right? The homeland, your deposits, banks, all this kind of thing. It's also more on a psychological level what you crave for deeply, what is deep within you, what is deep within your heart. Okay, this is the fourth house. And for Libra ascendant, it's not always easy to follow that or to find emotional security, because Saturn in Malefic is ruling that house. Now Saturn is strong there, so it can always indicate some more responsibility there, and maybe you need to put in some more work. But in terms of, you know, something that can manifest on a concrete level, like maybe you buy a new home, or you improve your home, or you buy a vehicle, or maybe the relationship with the mother improves, right? This kind of thing. It can always also play out, this can all play out for Libra ascendant. All right, and new beginnings there, because the new moon is showing these new beginnings. Okay, then for Scorpio ascendant, the new moon is happening in their third house. Third house is, upadesha, initiatory instructions, learning new things. In fact, the third house is the house of your technical intelligence, developing your skills, applying your skills, learning new skills is definitely indicated. It relates to siblings, right? Especially your younger siblings, the third house, employees, people that work for you, hobbies, and all sorts of interests are seen from the third house. So you can expect development in terms of skills, in terms of improving yourself, and improving your life circumstance, right? The third house is all about improvement and discernment, okay? And so also new beginnings because of the new moon, right? And then for Sagittarius ascendant, the new moon is happening in their second house. The second house is an Artha house. Artha relates to creating material security, resources, wealth, also the name you get from your family. Collections is a source of wealth. Gems, stones, minerals, all seen from the second house. Okay, so you can expect finances or opportunity to create more finances. Okay, Saturn can create some delays at first, but at the same time, it's in its own sign, strong there, manifesting. Can always indicate where we need to put in more work and where we need to be responsible, right? So, but good opportunity for Sagittarius ascendants for the whole year of 2018 to create more resources. Okay, and for Capricorn, the new moon is happening in their first house. It's important. All this manifesting influence to Capricorn plus a new moon. It's a highlight, right? So the first house is the body, right? Your physical appearance, but most importantly, it's your swadharma, your natural inclination, what you were born for. Okay, so your life path, a strong support for creating more stability, creating more clarity in what you want to express on the life path for sure. Okay, and this can also relate to health, right? Because it rules the body, it represents the body and the comforts of the body and the pains and this kind of thing. Okay. Saturn is strong there, so you will have to put in more work, there will be more responsibility, but it will create good results, right? Being a manifestor in its own sign there. And then for Aquarius, the new moon is happening in their 12th house. The 12th is all about losses and expenses, dealing with losses and expenses. A great opportunity to deal with losses and expenses. The 12th is all about long-term investments, so things that will, stay a long time with you. So this is time to invest, to put a little more energy into these things. Saturn can create some, delays initially, but it's strong in its own sign. It will always indicate more work, and it can indicate a little more worry also. But at the same time, it's manifesting. It always shows where we need to be more responsible. But it's a great opportunity to tackle any losses and expenses. And to invest, long-term investments are seen from the 12th. The 12th also relates to ashrams, far off, hidden places like ashrams or like hospitals, in prisons and this kind of thing. It's also a house of research. Okay, so a lot of research can be done, especially with all this manifesting influence, if you're an Aquarius ascendant. Okay, and then for Pisces ascendant, the new moon is happening in their 11th house. What is the 11th house? The 11th house is the house of gains. Okay, it's an upachaya house. It means it's a growing house. It grows over time. In fact, all what you desire on a material level, okay, is seen from the 11th. In that sense, also gains, more specifically, the money that comes in before it gets taxed. Okay, seen from the 11th. 11th relates to subgroups, right? Also receiving titles, recognition, or a title, maybe graduation or diploma, or this kind of thing. Also seen from the 11th house. A lot of manifesting influence to the 11th house for Pisces ascendant, right? And new beginnings there as well. Also, the 11th relates to domesticated animals, so for farmers and people who work with animals. Good opportunity there, and things will come to fruition. Now, as I mentioned, it's the house of gains, right? You can expect gains on a concrete and material level. You can expect financial gains during these periods. Okay. All right. I think that's enough for this short overview. Okay. Good luck. Bye.